Military officials have confirmed that the U.S. has delivered a heavy blow to top ISIS commanders in Iraq. Targeted airstrikes killed 3 leaders, 2 were top-level and 1 was mid-level. General Martin Dempsey told the Wall Street Journal about the attacks in an interview, stating, quote, "It is disruptive to their planning and command and control. These are high-value targets, senior leadership. It is in the context of how to fight a network. It is not a country. They have claimed it, but they are not. They are a network. So they have finances, they have logistics, and they have leaders." President Obama continues to claim that he has not written more executive orders than other presidents. However, this may be a matter of terminology. Previous presidents did not word presidential memos as though they were executive orders like Obama does, and the number of memos he has written far exceed the number written by other presidents. As Ed Henry from Fox News observed, quote, "Then USA Today looked at the fine print, and yes, 195 executive orders, less than Democratic and Republican predecessors. But when you add on 198 presidential memoranda, it actually turns out he's using a lot more executive action than his predecessors, right? Presidential memoranda have been used for gun control, immigration, and labor relations." Whoopi Goldberg gave Rosie O'Donnell a verbal beating over racism on The View, stating that a white woman cannot identify racism. The debate brewed from an interview of Barack and Michelle Obama in People magazine, in which they both stated that they have been victims of racism. Both claimed that they had been mistaken for service employees, and Whoopi stated that there was a difference between racism and, quote, "dumb folks who just say dumb stuff because they're not looking or paying attention to the person they're talking to." Rosie disagreed, claiming that any untoward action aimed at a black person is racist. Whoopi ended up stating that because Rosie is white, she cannot know what racism is. This is Liz Harrison, and this has been your Vigilant Liberty Radio News from Independent Journal Review for Friday, December 19th.
Welcome back to the show. This is The Right Mics with Mike Miller and Michael Howsam, and we're just rocking along. Mike, the week is over, and I felt like Monday didn't even really get going, man.
You know, and it's the same thing every day. I mean, we look down at the clock or at the computer or whatever, and half hours or 10 minutes, and then days are weeks. So that must mean we're having a good time.
We are having fun. In fact, that's probably the single most common comment that I get back from the show. Private messages and people saying things to me like, you guys have fun doing this.
I get the same thing. And, listen, before our good little friend Justin comes on, just a little bit about Kirpin. That's a smart dude. I mean, the analysis he does is spot on. The only thing that I would take issue with, and not with him necessarily, but with those, and you even mentioned it, the so-called unintended consequences. I believe, and again, maybe that's just because I'm a right-wing nut job, that the consequences of everything Obama does. I mean, we started the show talking about his and Michelle's interview where they brought up racist issues. I think, and I mentioned, because I've written about it multiple times, his suspension of welfare to work requirements. We know what that was about. He knew what would happen. Obamacare, other than, well, I've said for a long time, the primary objective of Obamacare is a result. Now, we don't have time to go into it, but redistribution of wealth and government control. And I just believe, and maybe I'm a right-wing nut job, but everything liberals do is on purpose.
Yeah, I disagree with you about that. I'd say
I
some
know.
of them. I've got a friend. She is almost exclusively liberal, and she honestly feels like it is the more caring, loving, other-centered, Bible-centered, Jesus-centered. Uh,
She's an anomaly, though, man.
no, I think
When
it's
you
a part
roll
of
in
it, man.
when you roll in the Bible part, I think. And again, I know liberals who are Christians as well, but I let me rephrase. Liberal politicians, by and large, okay, particularly the farther left they are, there is an agenda there. And of course, politics, across the spectrum is about an agenda. There's no question about that. But we know that liberalism, and I mean, maybe far left liberalism, or whatever you want to call it, liberalism is about redistribution. It's about growing a government. It's about making people more dependent on a government because, and they do that, by the way, or they attempt to do that by let us protect you from the big evil corporations. Let us protect you from, evil Republicans, white wing Christians. We are the only people who will save you from the evils of the right. And that is in Michael, by and large, that's our message, man.
Yeah, when you adjust that to include or confine it to politicians,
Well, that's what I meant. Yes.
then I would have to say that I'd agree with you 98% of the time.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I meant. I mean, listen, that mushy middle, if you will. You and I've talked about this a lot before too. As opposed to, envisioning a football field with a 50-yard line with Republicans slash conservatives on one side and Democrats slash liberals on the other side. It doesn't work that way. I would envision it more as you draw lines on both 20s, okay, and on the left, if you will, you're looking from above. On that side of that 20-yard line, you have the leftists, you have the so-called progressives. You go down to the other 20, and you have the far right wing. When you get in the middle, labels, yeah, labels are just they're a bit mushy, but by and large, the Democrat Party, at least, oh man, the last 20 years, 30 years maybe, it is just to me so transparent in terms of, well, hell, dude, you go back to LBJ and the Great Society and the War on Poverty. I mean, the intent and moving forward through decades has been to do what I'm talking about. It's been to make people dependent upon the government. And how the hell has that worked out? Not so well.
Well, you know what? Obviously, Mike, the only problem is we haven't given it enough of an effort. Our funding has been insufficient.
I think you're right. We haven't spent enough trillions of dollars on that. Well, and I forget the number. It is in the trillions when it comes to the war on poverty. And you go back and look at the math and look at the results. See, you and I have talked about this multiple times. Liberalism as a ideology is not about results. It's about intent. It's about feel good. It's about we're doing something. So certainly, the people that follow us will be on board. But you look at the state, look at the status of urban America, period. But you look particularly Black America, 3 out of 4 babies now born out of wedlock. The crime rate, the job rate, and listen, I mean, Bubba and I talked about this morning. Bubba Atkinson, editor in chief of IJ Review, you guys. This nonsense about Ferguson, just in general, the Obama's interview we talked about, that it avoids the larger issue that they, and again, the they is not people of color, the they is anyone who believes this. The larger issue is economics, is it not? And jobs and God, oh my God, I just get so worked up about these people. It just wears me out, man.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I just got a note here from Jess. Jess, do we have our guest on the line?
Yes, we do.
We
Justin
do. Okay.
Charters, are you here?
Yeah, what's going on?
What's going on, little brother?
Just having a little bit of a rough day. How you guys doing?
We think we're doing all right, Michael, right?
We are. And Justin, don't take offense. Mike can literally refer to almost every male on the planet as little brother, given his age.
Oh,
So that
Okay,
don't
so
be
yeah,
by
offended
the
by that.
all right, so
I
by
don't
the
care. You
way,
can call
so
me Tiger or
okay,
Buckshot. Doesn't really matter to me. So,
okay, so Justin, hang on for just a second because Hausum just reminded me that he pissed me off this morning. Okay, all right, so Hausum puts up the post, the daily post on the rightmics.us, and then I go in and do a bit of editing sometimes. But anyway, so Hausum, we're talking it was actually funny. We're talking about Cuba, and you talk about how I fondly remember taking my grandchildren there in the 50s on Hyman Ross' dime to visit Havana. Dude, what the hell's the matter with you, man?
Well, first of all, I thought it was funny to mention that in the 1950s you'd take your grandkids to Cuba. But
Hmm.
also, I wanted to see how many people would even know who Hyman Roth was.
Well, that's interesting too, because obviously, if you're not a big Godfather fan, you wouldn't. But then I was thinking, actually, people that don't know you, who thought you might be half serious, either grabbing the calculator or trying to figure out how the hell old is Miller.
Yeah, and I think that that should be akin to a state secret as far as how old Miller is. All right, well, dude, we've got one of our rock stars on the line with us,
Yeah.
and Justin told me that you agreed to pay him $1,000 a minute. So we're burning coin here, pal.
All right.
Let us access the brain that is Justin Charters, folks. If I've not seen this, but I would imagine that if you put up, if there was a list of the most shared, most viral stories over the last year from IJ Review, Justin Charters' name, if not the top of the list, would be extremely close to the top. Justin,
Awesome.
welcome, and we appreciate you taking the time to be here, man.
yeah, thanks for the invite. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, tell us what right now is going on in that big brain of yours. What are the things that are interesting you on the world political domestic scene today?
Probably more than anything, it would be ISIS and us backing cowardly response to North Korea. I've studied before I got involved with IJ Review. I was actually writing a book on North Korea, and one of the former editors at the Wall Street Journal was helping me kind of put that together. But I kind of stopped it. It was just you put a lot of irons in the fire, and then you just don't have the desire anymore. But I thought it was interesting because I know a lot on North Korea. But what I'm working on right now is one of the guys that we interviewed for IJ and one of the Army Rangers friend of mine. We are going to be doing an exclusive story pretty soon for Peter Kassig's family. I'm going to be speaking with them pretty shortly here, next couple days. Pretty cool stuff that they're trying to do for their son. I'm not going to reveal it just because I'll just wait until I publish the story. But, if your Mike wants to know, I'll tell you, in private.
Sure.
But so I'm working on that. I'm trying to get one of my buddies. It's taken him a while. He's from Mosul, Iraq, and he's a Yazidi. I'm trying to do a lot of original content, and I've been working on this for over 2 months now. But I'm trying to get him to finish his open letter to President Obama because he ran from ISIS 3 days before they came into Mosul. So I'm just trying to get some real big traction type of things, and then whatchamacallit, I'm waiting for a response back from a guy who's really, really busy. He's a former CIA guy who goes and does these sting operations for human trafficking where he poses as a human trafficker. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now.
Okay, Justin, let me ask you a question, man. And that sounds like fun stuff to come. And by the way, you irritate me because you're on the West Coast. So I get up in the morning and I find stuff and I think, oh, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to be, but then Charters found it in the middle of the night. But anyway, let's get back just for a second to you mentioned North Korea and your knowledge there. Overall, okay, uh, do you agree or disagree with Sony's reaction